Another one. Another one. Touchdown Jags! Ball game!
Another Jags podcast.
Welcome, everyone, to another Jags podcast, episode 49. We'll be ending the season with episode 50 next week, but for now, we're on episode 49. And we want to thank everyone for listening and hope everyone had a Merry Christmas and is having a wonderful holiday season. We're going to get into the draft a lot today as we have one more game on the slate for the 2018 season for the Jacksonville Jaguars and some other things as well. But before we do that, we want to remind everyone that we are on Twitter at Another Jags Pod. We are on Facebook and Instagram at Another Jags Podcast. With us today, we have Robert, Jason, and myself. Joey is not here. He's very upset that he couldn't make it. He said he had a lot that he wanted to share this morning about the Jaguars. So I think it's safe to say it's a Christmas miracle that we've dodged that bullet.
Oh, yeah.
My New Year's resolution is to have less of Joey in my life, so that's working out so far. So I think this is definitely going to be one of our better episodes, to say the least. All right, boys. The Jaguars did a Jaguar thing this past Sunday and won on the road 17-7 against the Dolphins, who looked like the Jaguars in that game. It was like they were playing themselves, and one team had to win. I guess they could have tied. It was, I don't know about you guys, but I was incredibly upset that they won, because on a day when the Raiders, or the weekend when the Raiders and the Jets both won, it really could have helped our draft status, and instead we win as well, dropping us down all the way to number 9 if the season were to end today. So let me just ask you guys really quick. Does this win for the Jags ruin their chances of getting a top-tier quarterback in this upcoming draft in April?
No, I don't think so, because if you look back over history of quarterbacks who were drafted, like half of them at least were guys that teams traded up for. So to get the guy you want, you may have to give up some stuff, but if you're not sold out on him to give up a second or maybe a third to move up a little bit, then maybe you shouldn't draft him in the top 10 at all. You know, I don't know. But I would say that we're okay. I found myself like kind of rooting for the Jags during the game. Like, I was like, yes. And I was like, oh, man. But I kept going back to that. If you want a quarterback, you're going to have to go get him. You know, he may not fall into your lap like, you know, we would ideally hope for, but you can get him if you want him.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how many of the teams that are going to be ahead of us are going to go quarterback for the first round. So I think it's a hunch, but I think there will probably only be 2 quarterbacks in the top probably 15. And the rest of it, I mean, there's a lot better defensive ends and offensive tackles out this year than there are quarterbacks, in my opinion. So I really think we have a really good shot of getting the number 1, if not the number 2 quarterback in the draft if we're still going to go after that.
Yeah, I tend to agree now that I've had a few days to kind of settle and draw a more reasonable conclusion to the game. If you look at the top 10 or the top 8 really that are picking before the Jags, it's really an interesting draft because you have a lot of teams that don't necessarily need a quarterback. The Cardinals are sitting at number 1, and it looks like they're not going anywhere. And everyone says they're not going to get a quarterback because they just got Josh Rosen last year in the draft. But would it surprise you if they went quarterback again?
No, because right now the Cleveland Browns are looking like they might in some ways be a kind of genius in the sense where they busted on a quarterback for 3 times in a row, yet they still went back and got one. They're like, we're not going to stop drafting a quarterback the first round until we get the guy who they think they have currently. So, I mean, I would wish we did that with ourselves. I mean, if we saw... Now, obviously, Blake had his ups and downs, so we couldn't really do that with our quarterback. But, I mean, if I was a GM, I'd be looking the same way. If I didn't hit on that guy and we think he's not going to be the guy really quick, I'm going to draft a quarterback the next year, too, because there's such a vital position.
Was the question, are the Browns going to draft another quarterback?
No, he was using the Browns as an example.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. What was the question?
The Cardinals now sit at number 1 in the draft, and it looks like, unless the Seahawks, who they play, rest all their starters, they're probably going to lose. It's at Seattle. So would it surprise you or shock you if the Cardinals picked a quarterback at 1?
Yeah, it would. It would, because you got to at least give your guy 2 2 or 3 years before you're going to do something like that. Now, would they take a guy maybe in the 3rd, 4th, 5th? Maybe. I mean, they could do that, but no, they wouldn't use a top draft pick. I would think they would probably draft a lineman or a receiver. I mean, they're like Robert said, this draft, they're sitting there with a lot of defensive talent. So they could go defense and address that. I mean, they have a lot of needs, so they could really go anywhere. But I think, like we talked about last week, Oakland, what they do with the quarterback is going to be big for us. The Giants are for sure going to draft one. And then beyond that, you're looking at a team like possibly the Redskins, maybe move up for one. Possibly a team like the Dolphins will draft one. So I don't know. It's going to be a weird year. And then we have which quarterbacks are coming out, and that changes everything too.
Right.
You know, if the big boys, Haskins and Herbert, don't come out, then this is a weak draft. And next year is looking like the big draft with Tua and Fromm and all those guys. But because of that reason, why would those guys stay? I mean, it makes no sense to me. But
yeah, I really don't see them saying they don't have, especially. Well, I don't think either one of them really has anything to gain. Haskins is going to have a new coach. I know that he's the same offensive coordinator at Ohio State, but different head coach. To me, if you're looking at all the quarterbacks that are going to be in the 2020 draft, you'd be stupid not to come out now if you're a predicted one of the top 2. So it's a financial reason, if nothing else. But going back to the Cardinals, I don't think they will either, because you do need to give a guy some time. But of the 4 or 5 actually quarterbacks, whoever they were that were drafted in the first round last year, Mayfield looks like he's a hit. Darnold does as well. Lamar Jackson, by the way, a quarterback that we could have drafted, looks like a hit. I mean, he's a mobile quarterback, so you worry about injury with him, but he's definitely been a spark to the Ravens for sure, to say the least. Josh Allen, I think the jury's still out on him. I think the quarterback that was drafted last year in the first round that really has not gotten much talk is Rosen. There just hasn't been a lot said about him. I don't know if that's because of the market or what, but I'd be surprised if they took another quarterback. But I mean, at the same time, you're only sitting at number 1 every so often. So if you love a guy, if your scouts are saying, "Man, this guy Haskins is the real deal," you never know. It's a possibility.
And that's the part that I struggle with is I want to say I don't want the Jaguars to tank, but at the same time, when they won that game yesterday, in my head I'm thinking, okay, even if only 1 or 2 teams take a quarterback in the top 10, if we move up, say, to 5, well, then we could trade down to like that 10 range and still get one of the 2 guys we wanted. And it's like, and then gain another pick, because I mean, we need as many as we can get right now. So in doing so, winning, it's like, oh crap. I mean, we can't trade down from 9 and still hope to get our guys. So
I don't know if we need as many. I don't know if I agree with we need as many picks as we can get, because I don't think we're that far away from being a contender. I think you just got to address the offense. And if we draft entirely offensive players this year, maybe sprinkle in a D tackle or linebacker, that would be fine. But I don't think we're too far away. We get a tackle, a receiver, and fix the quarterback issue. We could do that without the draft, and we could be, not far.
The part that worries me is we have to get some. I think we need a good amount of pieces on our offense, and then we also need a defensive line pieces now too, because we didn't get as much pressure as we did the year before, and we're about to lose at least 1 or 2 of those, if not 2 of those guys. And I mean, I know y'all have liked him, but I don't think Taven Bryan's done much to prove that he's going to be that great. So I mean, that's it. It's not like he's going to be the future next year unless he steps up huge on the offseason.
I think he's going to be the future because he has to be, not because he necessarily is good enough. But they drafted him in the first round. I don't see Malik Jackson being back. So Taven Bryan is the logical solution to step in and fill that void. But I think we're going to have, going back to Jason's point, I think we're going to have a little more financial flexibility in the offseason as well for free agency, because we're going to be dumping some contracts. And so I think you're going to see some movement in the free agency market. So our draft picks can be used to trade up if, again, need be. We'll talk more about that soon. But so let's just go back again really quick to the draft. So I think we're all in agreement that the Cardinals don't pick quarterback. Then you have the 49ers next, who I'd be shocked if they pick quarterback, because they have Jimmy Garoppolo, paying him a ton of money. He should be healthy to start the season next year. Then you have the Jets, obviously not taking a quarterback. The Raiders, again, I think are the one domino that's going to really change this draft, what they do. Do they decide to keep Carr? Do they decide to trade Carr? That is going to be a fun one to watch.
They also are probably going to need a defensive end now. They got rid of theirs.
Talk about a team that needs a lot. They need a lot.
But they have a lot of picks.
They do have a lot of picks.
Do.
And they have time.
Right.
They're not looking to go to the playoffs next year either.
Right.
They're trying to set themselves up for Vegas. So they have a little more time. So they're going to get the best player available, whatever. But, if at the same time, if Gruden loves, a quarterback, he could trade Carr. I don't know. We'll see. They have the Lions at 5. Probably not getting a quarterback there.
Mm-hmm.
The Giants, okay, there's one that'll probably take one who we would have been in front of them had we not won on Sunday. And then the Bills, not taking one. The Bucks, that's another interesting one. And then you got the Jaguars. So there's really only, I think, one team, that being the Giants, that you can say for sure is going to take a quarterback. So if no trades happen within the top 8, which I'm sure that won't happen, but, the Jags could draft up. Other teams, like Jason mentioned earlier, the Redskins or, someone like that could jump ahead of us. But there's a real chance still that if the Jags like a quarterback, they can go up and get him, I think, in this draft. So we'll see.
I think before it's all said and done, you're going to have to, even if we're picking at 9, we're going to have to move up to get Herbert or Haskins. Because usually quarterbacks go pretty quick. The good ones do.
Yeah.
And then it kind of tears off in the first round, and then you get into later round quarterbacks. And so I think Herbert and Haskins are your tier 1 quarterbacks, and then Locke and Greer are your tier 2 quarterbacks, and then you're looking at, maybe the guy from Duke, if he comes out, whoever else the quarterbacks are this year.
Locke.
Drew Locke. And I think he's a tier 2 quarterback.
Yeah.
But maybe a Jarrett.
Tier 2 meaning?
Well, I think they're, yeah.
What does tier 2 mean to you?
Tier 2 would be middle to late first round.
Okay.
So I think you guys like Drew Locke and Greer and Locke are tier 2. And then tier 3 is everybody else. And that's where you take some of these project guys, some of these guys that, you kind of roll the dice on a little bit. But you're going to have to move up, I think, to top 5 to get 2 quarterbacks. That's just how drafts always go, especially nowadays. It used to not be like that, but nowadays it is. Quarterbacks are going 1, 2, 3 or 1, 2, 4, things like that. So,
although it's funny because Mahomes, Watson, Lamar Jackson, all drafted, outside the top 7.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
And then, those are exceptions, I think,
right.
more so.
Right.
But I don't know. It's interesting. Let me ask you this, Jason. Do you think? Let's assume that Herbert and Haskins come out and they're going to be in the draft this year. Do you think either one of those is worth the Jaguars trading up to get?
Yeah, I think either one would be. I know people.
Do you think they should? Do you think the Jaguars should go after them?
Who? I can't decide, honestly, if I'm in the camp of get a veteran and pay him or draft a rookie. Because like I said, I don't think this team is far. And when your team's not far from making a run, it's not always a great idea to go get a rookie. Now, can you get one also? Yeah, but I think going after a Nick Foles would probably be our best solution for next year. And then just kind of drafting a tackle. If we can get Jonah Williams, the tackle from Alabama, or if we can get a receiver, which is named like N'Keal Harry or whatever his name is, the receiver is supposed to be pretty good, then I think we should do that. But I do like Herbert and Haskins. I know people aren't big on Herbert because he's, they say he doesn't have good pocket presence, but I don't know, man. A lot of that stuff doesn't translate as well as people think. Like how they play in the pocket isn't always a good indication. But Herbert reminds me of like a Sam Bradford coming out of college. So I think that could be something the Jags could explore. But yeah, to answer your question, I think they it would be worth it, but I don't think they will.
Okay.
For me, I think we definitely need a veteran quarterback right now. But I want to pair it with a first-round rookie pick, too. We don't have to start our rookie right away, and we can get a year or two out of a veteran quarterback. That seems to be one of your best scenarios for most teams that have elite starting quarterbacks currently.
But in order to do that, that would be like what would be called like a stopgap quarterback. Like a quarterback, you'd have to get a veteran to like fill the gap before the guy's ready. And that's not going to be like a Foles or a Derek Carr or a Stafford if you trade for him. It's got to be a guy like Teddy Bridgewater or Tyrod Taylor. So there's just a drop-off when you're going that route and the quarterback you get to fill the gap.
I know a lot of people hate on him, but I would be fine trying out a Flacco. For if it's a 1 or 2 year thing, I don't think Foles is going to do anything. I mean, he scares me because, I mean, he's always been hot and cold. So I'd be all right testing out a Flacco if we can get him not that much. And yes, he's taking a big dip, but we're not going to pay for a Derek Carr. We can't do that. Foles, to me, is a huge gamble. And then you're not going to pay for a Bradford. Why would you do that? Because, I mean, he's a scary prospect. I mean, get an old veteran guy that could potentially do 1 season, 1, maybe 2 seasons. And this team has talked about, people have talked about forever, if you can just manage the football and let our defense do the rest, what better guy to do it than a guy that's been around for a long time?
I mean, I can't disagree with that. I think there's a lot of validity to that. Flacco is durable. I mean, he did get hurt this year a little bit. It wasn't, for an extended period of time. It was just long enough for him to lose his job. Again, to a guy that we could have drafted. So it would frustrate me to no end that we would be signing a guy who lost his job to a guy that we could have drafted. But that's kind of beside your point. I don't know. I mean, if that's what we're trying to do is just get a guy in here for a year to wait to draft a guy the next year. I mean, I guess it really depends on what are we trying to accomplish next year.
Well, I'm not saying draft. I'm saying draft a quarterback this year, but allow him to be able to sit, learn the team, learn everything, and get a year under his belt before he has to get out there and actually run the offense.
Well, then I would think that would be a route to go. If I like Foles because he just seems like he steps up in the big moments. I mean, he's beaten 2 really good teams that were really hot in his last 2 weeks. He beat the Rams and then goes and beats the Texans, who have just been on fire. Not to mention the playoff run in the Super Bowl last year. I mean, and it's not a system thing because the offensive coordinator for the Eagles is not there anymore. So there's something to him just being a gamer, and I don't know. Call me crazy. I'm not a Eagles fan. I don't follow them closely, but it seems like this team likes to rally around Foles when he's in there. Like there's something about him, and I love Wentz too, man. Wentz is one of my favorite quarterbacks in the league, but I don't know. There's something about him. But if they went the route that you're saying, Robert, Flacco did that for a year, I would be okay with that because I do think he is a game manager, and we would have to get a receiver that in here that can get open though, because I'm not sure he can just place balls to where he makes receivers get open. So I would rather them go Foles, but I think you're going to have to get a 3-year deal for him minimum. So that's the difference. I think you can get Flacco in here on a 1 to 2 year deal. But who knows? I don't know.
Flacco, you're going to have to pick up his contract because the only way you get Flacco is if he gets cut or you trade for him because he still is on contract till next year with the Ravens. So if the Ravens cut Flacco, they save about $8 million. Then the Jags would be on the hook for $8 million for Flacco, which isn't a lot, not a lot of money. And Flacco's gotten a lot of crap this year saying he's been bad, but listen to his stats in the 9 games that he played. He was 4-5 in those 9 games. So not completely terrible there. He had 14 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 2,500 passing yards. For some reason, there's this, because he got benched for Lamar Jackson, that he's like really bad and that we shouldn't touch him. But I don't think he's as bad as people are like leading on for him. But sometimes when if you've been there for a while and you draft a rookie, like the electricity of that rookie just overtakes you. And I think he might have just hit a slump. I think he lost 3 games in a row before they benched him, and that's kind of why he got benched.
Yeah.
But his numbers didn't indicate that he's been as bad as people think.
Right. 4-5 in the NFL could easily be 5-4,
And who knows? We're already looking at trying to we know we're going to probably get rid of Malik Jackson. That could be trade bait right there a little bit.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, their defense is their strong suit, so maybe they want to make it stronger. I mean, I think that's a real possibility. I may have even said it on this podcast, but the initial thought of Flacco coming here, I just, he's just not a guy that excites you.
I agree.
But I think that's probably what they want. Going back to your point, it's a great point, and it's very possible.
Well, up until 2 days ago, I would have been perfectly fine bringing Derek Carr here. But, the more you look at how our cap is right now and everything, it's like, well, gosh, that's a scary prospect to bring a guy like a Bradford or a Carr and be locked in on that kind of money and it not go well. That's another however many years that we're going to be in shambles for a little while.
Yeah. If it was me, if I was the Jags, I would try and get someone like Flacco in. I would sign a veteran wide receiver, Golden Tate, Stephon Diggs, possibly. He's more of he's a stud, but get someone in here to pair with Lee and Dede, and I would draft. I'm not kidding. I would draft offensive line with your first pick, maybe even your second pick, and just get that offensive line sturdy. And I know everyone's saying, "Oh, when Linder's healthy and Cam Robinson's healthy, it's going to be totally different." And it is. It is going to be different, but you still need some added depth in there as well. So get that line shirt up, and that job suddenly becomes, I think, very attractive. So, we'll see what can happen. I think the best scenario though is signing a free agent quarterback and then bringing someone in and letting them sit. Because as much as we see quarterbacks come in and have some success, it's nice for them to sit as well. I don't know.
So would you be in that scenario? I would want a quarterback in like the second or third round.
Yeah.
So if you could land a Will Grier there, or I don't know how Daniel Jones is gonna grade out, but he may be guys in the second round from
Is
Duke.
he just a size guy? He's got all the
He's got a big arm too. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
got a big arm, and he reads the field well. He makes good decisions. That's actually a pretty complicated offense up there that they run. So
he's got little brains too.
yeah, smart kid. Not a lot of talent around him. Did well with what he had. That's usually a good sign for your NFL dreams.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That would be. You couldn't go first round. If we could land Jonah Williams, the tackle from Alabama, and move Cam Robinson over to the right, whew, man, that's a big line right there.
Is that your dream pick?
It depends on what we do with quarterback.
Let's say hypothetically we sign Flacco.
Yeah.
Okay, to a 2-year deal. Who do you want the Jags taking at 9? They sit at 9. Who do you want them taking?
So I think whichever way they don't go in free agency, if they go tackle in free agency, I would like them to get N'Keal Harry, the receiver.
Do you know where he's from?
He's from Arizona State.
Okay.
He's balling out this year. He's unanimously the number 1 wide receiver. So I think those two, even Greg Little from Ole Miss is supposed to be a really, really good offensive lineman.
You think him over DJ Metcalf?
For receiver?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do.
Jags have not had a good history of drafting receivers in the first round.
No. But receivers are one of those positions you just never know. You see guys from small schools all the time blow it up, and we see guys from big schools bust all the time. So it's really hard to it's hard to draft it. People assume that because you're drafting early, it should be a home run. And it should be. A good GM will get a home run in that pick, but a lot of times those early picks end up being busts.
We've shown that a few times.
Yeah, look at the Jags.
This is why we're in the situation we're in.
Yeah, exactly. So Marquise Brown, also the wide receiver from Oklahoma, is a good wide receiver. Like you said, there's not a lot in free agency. Stephen Diggs is probably your best player available, and you feel like he's not going to go to a team like us. You feel like he's going to, re-sign with Minnesota, or
that's what I think he's going to do.
Yeah,
I
I
don't think
do
he's going
too.
anywhere.
So it may be one of those positions that you have to draft both receiver and tackle.
Yeah, well, my thing is then, so you're talking going first round, go offensive tackle or something then.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that would kind of change my mindset of who we pick up as quarterback then, because my initial thought would be you go with a Flacco and you get a quarterback still first round, because you're only at a 1 to 2 year deal. If you're not going quarterback, why not go with a Foles or a Carr or something like that and try a 3-year?
Yeah,
shot.
that's going to depend on it's a roll of the dice either way, because there's no guarantee. Like if they love Haskins, there's still no guarantee that they're going to get him.
That's true.
But my thing is if again, this is why the draft is so fun and so difficult. If you know that Greer or Jones out of Duke is going to be there in the second round for you, I would
Wait.
I would wait.
Yeah.
I really would, because I like both of those guys.
Yeah,
But again, if they love one of the quarterbacks, then go that route too. But I mean, our offensive line was just so absolutely atrocious this year. It's gonna be hard if there is a guy that's a stud sitting there for the Jags to take a tackle, a legit tackle. Because as much as I like Cam, I think all of us can agree that he's not ever going to be a dominant left tackle. He might be serviceable, but that's a lot different than dominant. So
Yeah.
And
move him to the right tackle and draft that left would be sweet.
And the other side of that too is even, I mean, people keep talking about, well, if we just had all of our offensive linemen back, we'll be good. But you know what? I mean, anytime you have that many we got down to like one starter at one point during the year. Anytime you're at that point with your offensive line, you need to be looking at getting new people, because I mean that's injuries. I mean, you can't have your whole offensive line just disappearing on you. It's time to start shaking up that line and putting new people in new places and getting people.
So the free agent tackles that are out there, Taylor Lewan and Jake Matthews probably aren't going to hit the market.
Right.
I wish, man, because those dudes can play.
Yes.
But I doubt that neither one of those going to hit the market. Dwayne Brown from Seattle is kind of older. He'll still get paid, but he's on the back half of his career for sure. I don't know if that's who we want to bring in, but maybe it is. And then you have Darrell Williams from the Panthers, who's a right tackle, who's pretty good, and Rob Havenstein from the Rams, who's also a right tackle. So those are your big names that are coming out. So you have to pick one of them up to be solid on the offensive line for me to feel happy about what we have next year. So,
and like you said, that's really only 3. And they're going to be getting top dollar.
Yeah,
Those
exactly.
dudes are going to be expensive.
Yeah, and the NFL is kind of turning away from starting young linemen. Like that was a trend for a little bit, like the last decade, but now teams are realizing that like college isn't putting out NFL ready linemen anymore. You're better off going out and getting a veteran that's
unless you're from Alabama.
Even those guys, exactly. I mean, they're the one school that's still putting them out on a regular basis, but
they're usually small still.
Yeah, and they play the spread offenses, and they do a lot of zone running schemes, and that doesn't really translate that well to the NFL. But I don't know. It might just be better to wait till next year as a quarterback than maybe what the Raiders do.
Very possible.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really sold on Will Grier, but if we can get him in the second round, yeah, I'd be perfectly happy with that.
People bash his throwing motion. That it's weird.
Would you say he's not a natural thrower of the ball?
I think he is, and I think he would call himself that.
Okay.
Yeah, which is what the first question that we're going to ask any draft pick of quarterback is: are you a natural thrower of the football? They got to be able to answer that. Yes.
I think an offensive lineman could answer that. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think so. I think I'd throw it naturally.
So 2020 quarterbacks coming out are, and tell me if any of these names interest you, would be Tua.
Yes.
Yeah.
Shea Patterson from Michigan is another big one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay.
There's the chance that Haskins and Herbert come back and stay. There's a chance that...
How mad would you be if you need a quarterback this year and both of them stay another year?
Yeah, I was talking to someone. They're like, watch, they're both going to stay. Watch. But, and then if Kyler Murray comes out and plays football, which rumors are he may.
He's so small. I feel like he would get annihilated in the NFL.
Well,
I mean, he's good. Don't get me wrong, but
he could put on a couple of pounds and be Russell Wilson-esque, I think.
He would need to. I just think he's going baseball.
Yeah.
He looks like a baseball player to me.
But you have a more solid future financially in football.
Not as guaranteed money in baseball. You get
but you have to make
money.
it to the I mean, you get your initial signing bonus, and then you get. But if you don't make it to the majors, you could be stuck in a lifetime of
$20,000 a year.
playing in the minors. Where in the NFL, you do get that guaranteed money. If you're a first round pick, you're getting guaranteed like $6 or $7 million.
This is what I would do. I would go to the baseball route, try it for a couple of years, because you know pretty quick if you're going to be if you're a stud. The minors are like a pit stop, and you go through it pretty quickly. And if it's not working, then go back to football.
Yeah.
I mean, he'll be working out and healthy and strong. I mean, we've seen other guys do that as well. But I mean, I just think he's hit with his size, and he sounds like he's a stud baseball player as well. we'll see what happens.
What would be easier, going from football to baseball, or to go baseball and then try to come back to football?
I think it'd be easier going from baseball to football because there's the less wear and tear on your body.
Yeah, but getting out of football is different than like getting out of baseball. Like if you haven't played football in a couple of years, it's hard to come back and just step back into that rhythm. I mean, people have done it, but it seems to me easier to play football and then go back to baseball because hitting the ball is something you can kind of just
Tim Tebow
practice.
I don't know. I mean, his game is speed and arm strength, so I don't think you'd lose that.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I don't know. It sounds like his agent Scott Boras has been saying he's playing baseball. Like he is playing baseball. So maybe that's just him being an agent and trying to.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, ultimately,
things.
it's not Scott Boras' decision. I mean, he could change his mind the day before the draft, and
But if there's guaranteed money in baseball, Scott Boras is going to want to go that route.
if you want to get
That's guaranteed money for him too.
hiring Scott Boras is a pretty good indicator that he's going to go play baseball.
Right
there. So,
okay, but who else do we got in the 2020 draft? Is it Tua, Kyle? Yeah, so some other ones.
could potentially be Hurts.
Shea Patterson, like
Yeah.
I said, is he was coming back. He's going to be a pretty decent quarterback, I think.
Fromm?
Yep, Jake Fromm from Georgia. DeAndre Francois, everyone thinks might grade high when the draft comes around because he's not a
He can
bad
take a beating. We know
quarterback.
that. He can take a beating.
And Jake Bentley from South Carolina, Kelly Bryant from Clemson, who actually Kelly Bryant's transferring, so who knows where he'll be from. I guess Taylor Lawrence from Clemson would be eligible.
Didn't
next
Kelly
year.
Bryant say where he's going? I want to say it was like NC State, maybe.
Oh, I didn't.
I don't know. Maybe
That
not.
makes sense
Be
for
totally
everyone
wrong.
transfers.
Yeah.
Felipe Franks from Florida.
Hello.
Shane. That's two guys that aren't on those teams anymore.
Yeah.
That's college football for you, though.
Yeah.
But
That's true.
so I don't know. Next year's draft could be better if the players stay.
I could understand that, but if I'm some guy's agent or whatever, especially, I mean, coming out into this year, it's like, why would you want to stay one more year and have to go up against all of those quarterbacks where if you somehow fall to the second round, now you're not getting paid near as much money as if you go out this year. I mean, I'll be going out this year.
That's why I think Haskins at least is coming out.
Those two guys have to come out this year in the sense of just, even if they don't pan out in the NFL, they're going to make their most money right now. If they wait another year, you're gambling at that
Right.
point.
It doesn't make any financial sense whatsoever for them to stay in school.
But, I mean, those guys get talked into it all the time, so hopefully they don't.
And they maybe they'll have some financial help if they do stay in school.
Yeah, who
Some
knows?
boosters.
That's true.
That could very well happen. All right, so we have one more game left on the schedule. The season isn't over, despite our conversation about what's going to happen in April. Jags at Texans to close out the year this Sunday at 1 o'clock. Is there any chance the Jags win this game?
Yeah, I think so.
This is a big game for the Texans.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, who was it? Reggie Wayne, I think, picked the Jags to win yesterday or something from NFL Network or something like that. Randomly, I don't know why I got that notification, but it was, he had made some good points. I mean, Jags defense is playing well. If Bortles plays, then there's a good chance that the offense could randomly just come alive. And the real question is, if Bortles lights it up, is he back next year?
Bortles 3.0?
Bortles 3.0.
I think that's the whole key for this game is who's starting quarterback. If Bortles plays, he has the ability to keep the ball alive and with his legs, I think they win. If Kessler starts, I think we lose.
You cannot in good conscience start Kessler and also say we are doing everything we can to win this game.
You can't.
You can't.
can't. That's a bold-faced lie.
Yeah.
So it has to be Bortles if you're trying to win the game. And I'll say this, since they won on Sunday against the Dolphins, I absolutely want them to win this game.
Right.
It's like, well, we're not top 5 anymore. Let's at least ruin the Texans a little bit.
Mhm.
Yeah. Knock two people out of the playoffs, possibly.
Well, they're in.
They're in the
regardless.
playoffs. They just
Yeah.
want to get home.
Imagine
Right.
the momentum, though, winning the last 2 games of the year. If you didn't answer my question, if Bortles goes for 375, four touchdowns and 0 interceptions, do you think the fan base will want him back next year?
I think there's
No.
still going to be the Bortles apologists that are going to want him back.
That's such an if. I mean, good night.
Hey, I've seen Bortles do that, so
Yeah, that's true.
I've seen him do it.
I think there's I think there is a better possibility of him rushing for 120 yards than him throwing for anywhere near 300 yards.
You know what? If it's the last game of the season, that'd be kind of fun to watch, actually. So,
The O-line
just
is
go
just
straight
open.
Tecmo Bowl on him.
Yeah,
Just
just
run all over the place.
just let them like straight up truck people.
Yeah.
I mean,
The O-line is so bad.
They're ridiculously bad.
I mean, when Omame moved over to right tackle last week, I was just like, okay, we have reached a new low in crappy offensive line play.
It's gonna be bad.
when you had to bring back a offensive lineman that you cut already.
Right.
You're
right.
I
in-
mean, it was cut by another team.
Yeah, I mean that you have two people that cut from another team.
It's
Both from
bad.
the same team.
Eric Flowers was so bad last week. He was so bad. They were all so bad, man. They got, man, what a year.
I think the only offensive line that was worse than them last week was the Redskins. Maybe I don't know. They were both really bad. Calais Campbell had a game though, man, against the Redskins. That's for sure. So I think he's coming back. Malik, probably not. What about Marcel Darius? What do you think? Is he coming back?
I think he gets restructured. Yeah.
I think they keep him. They need
Yeah.
that big man down there.
But he's
still.
expensive. I don't think he comes back on his contract. He's on
No.
now. He's one of the highest paid players on the team.
Right.
So I think he comes back restructured because no one else is going to give him. He'll make more money in the long term if he does that. So
Right.
he should do that. I think they'll work something out where that happens.
That would be good. I would be happy with that. So we'll see. To the Texans game, I don't see the Jags winning it. I don't even think it's going to be very close. I think they're going to put up a fight. Actually, I don't know. It could be close because it's a divisional game. They're going to want to spoil the Houston, season a little bit going into the playoffs. But it's a big game. This is a huge game for Houston in terms of playoff seeding and all that stuff. So we'll see. But it's just, man, this has been a crazy hard year, and I can't believe at the same time that it's already almost over. Like one more game. Gosh, it goes so quick.
The thing that scares me too is that next year, the AFC South could potentially be one of the best divisions if you look at it. If we end up can work out quarterback situation, offensive line, and we can get right back in there, even then we're gonna have a struggle to try to make it to the playoffs because now you have Andrew Luck back and Houston doing well, and who knows what Tennessee any given day can do.
What is
do
Tennessee
something.
right now? 9-7? 9-6? Or are they 8-6?
9-6.
9-6. That's
we could
crazy.
potentially be one of the top divisions in football.
And if the Colts win on Sunday, I don't know who they're playing off the top of my head, but they'll finish over 500. You could
And
say
they're gonna
right
be-
now that this is the best division. No one talks about it because it's all small market teams for the most part, but it's going to be hard not to talk about the
Colts
AFC
are
South next year.
9-6 too.
They're 9-6
Yeah.
and 1. They have a tie, don't they? No, they did. They win.
No.
Okay, yeah.
10-5, 9-6, 9-6, and then we're 5-10.
Wow.
We could potentially have, and I hate to say this because I bashed on him so hard, we could potentially have two of some of the best quarterbacks in the league between Watson and Luck for next year, all in the AFC South.
Yeah. And it's not like Mariota's bad.
No,
He's just
he's pretty bad.
he's a game manager. He's
Yeah.
Any given point,
manages
he
the
can
game.
win the game though.
Yeah, well, I feel like I've seen more of Gabbert this year than I've seen of
Yeah.
Mariota.
And that's the problem with him. Yeah, he just gets injured all the
Yeah.
time.
That
And then he miraculously comes back and beats us every year.
yeah
It's amazing.
Like a storybook.
Yeah.
runs on.
No hand, no problem. I can still be the
I
Jags.
can run.
Well, anything else to add?
We'll see. One more game.
One more game. And that'll be our next episode. Will be our 50th episode, which is we're excited about. It doesn't really mean much to other people, perhaps, but that's always been a goal for us was to get to our 50th episode, and we're doing that fittingly to end the season, which is kind of cool.
And we're just shy of 10,000 downloads.
That's right. So we want to thank all the listeners. Spread the word. We know that it hasn't been a great season for the Jags, but we can say this about Jags fans. We are dedicated, passionate fans of our team. So if you love the Jaguars, spread the word about this podcast, and we're going to get to some Twitter questions next week for sure. We didn't do that this week because of the holidays and everything. We just forgot to ask you. But we'll get back on that next week. Anything else you guys want to say to wrap up this episode?
Nope.
Okay. All right. Well, that'll do it then, clearly. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week. As always, go Jags.